params, add path. Some of these are just defaults that you need to include in any plugin, so I'll just mention any that aren't needed necessarily. Inside each of these params you just need certain parameters, so just check something. Just duplicate this a few times. So in this first parameters group, there's they're all in one group, and there's like 20 parameters, so just duplicate this quite a few times. Whoops. And this description tag, you want to put a default value as the name of your plugin. So this is in any general styling, so use capitals in it. This second one doesn't have a label either, and the description. Oops. That size 60 just indicates how many characters go into this parameter. So Might want to skip ahead on this bit. Right, so this is all the parameters. I just need to edit the different attributes of each one. I'll kind of explain them as I'm going through. As you can kind of see, these parameters basically store data and represent data in the when you're configuring it. Well, the plugin. So when you're configuring this plugin in the back end, where this parameter is here for database type, and the type is text, there'll be a text field that start when you go to configure it, and if the information is already there, it'll show your database type and it'll allow you to edit it, and just all the other kind of configurable properties you'd want to make sure that JFusion works with the software you're aiming to correctly. So start with the source URL. And 60 is a common amount to allow in, because there's no reason any kind of variable will be longer than 60 characters in length. So and for the source URL, there's also something, you enter something in the default again. The source URL is basically where, when you configure this plugin, where you're telling JFusion that this software that you want to integrate with the plugin is stored. So by default, this would be basically your website, so just type that as your domain as standard, and then it's often the name of the software in lowercase, no spaces, and make sure you have a separator on the end. So and description is source URL, and you need this so that JFusion knows to put any information you've stored into this parameter. That's why you can see it's always all capitals and a underscore used as a representative of a space. And source path just kind of adds onto the source URL. the path is the actual route that JFusion takes to communicate with the software. The URL is just the technical location, because the difference between absolute and relative URLs is obviously relative URLs. You don't have to type the whole HTTP www. It would just be a folder and then into another folder. So that doesn't have anything by default, because I have no idea where Joomla's stored relevant by default. That doesn't have a label either, so and next one is a help text, and this isn't a starred configuration variable, so that's the reason it hasn't actually got a name. It just gets followed up by its type. And all this, the only other thing this has is a default text. And this bit of help text specifically is about registration. This can be a bit confusing because obviously there's nothing to indicate that it's warning text about registration. It just says help text. There's no actual parameter to indicate that, so just gotta kind of bear with that. So I'm just gonna put some text that makes sense to inform people about disabling registration. So in order to disable registration,